Hi, everyone, and welcome to Unleash with Megan. I'm Megan Rovnak, your host. Thank you so much for joining us. At Unleash with Megan, we dive deep into the art and science of overcoming challenges and achieving remarkable results. We do this by speaking with people who've had experiences, learned something, and created remarkable results from those experiences. I have a guest on every time, and they have shared so many amazing experiences and lessons. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. And I'm very grateful today to be able to introduce to you RJ Douge, who's going to share his story and what he learned and how it's changed his life. RJ, if you could introduce yourself and share your story.
Okay. So hi everyone. I'm RJ Douge. I deal with coaching outside world, helping anyone from fathers to young kids to CEOs to people just create better lives. Um, so yeah, that's probably the short part. But it's always fun for me because what's important is helping people. So that's uh that's how I feel. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, can you tell us a little bit about why you chose coaching and what it is about being a father and coaching and helping parents? How did you get to that? And why is that something that you like to spend your time doing? And why is that your passion?
Uh, well, Megan, um, because I'm trying to be as natural as possible. So I'm gonna take a deep breath. you know, Naturally, it just felt natural to sit back and talk to people because it seems like I had this ability to see other people's problems and figure out how to fix them. And I shouldn't say even problems. It's more about, hey, I can see an opportunity in what you're doing. And so whether it's like, okay, you might be looking for a new job, I can help you see the greatness and the power in what you've done in the past. Or you're trying to raise your kids, which can be challenging, especially let's say you're a single parent and you don't know what to do because you have to first get over your own story. And then now you have to be able to support these kids on your own. And to have coaching or idea around what should I do next? What should I do if I want my kid to go to certain schools? So it's yeah, I guess it's something like that.
So
you know,
you and I
it's
have spoken, so I know a little bit of your story and a little bit of your background, and I know that your previous generations and your personal experience being a single parent has really been something that has shaped what is important to you, your children, and how you have parented, how you've helped other people, how you've experienced life. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
um okay, my background. So I'm what you call a solo dad. So and I had the privilege of being having the kids as the custodian parent and making sure that I can raise my kids. And as a dad raising your kids in the household by yourself, it is a challenge because everything becomes new. So you go from two parents to single parent and everything is new. You're trying to figure out how to do it. And I've been working with my kids while they were young. So I had to do everything from learning how to braid a little girl's hair to also making sure her older brother was being taken care of and seen. So it was a challenge and everything was new. I was learning everything new because I mean, I had her since two. So you're talking about doing everything where you have to now, and I hate the phrase be mom and dad, but I guess I had to be dad and double dad. And
I
so
like that
it
double dad.
double dad because I want to respect mothers who are mothers, and the same way that I want moms to respect fathers who are fathers, and not do the famous, I'm dad and mom. But I appreciate people who want to want people to recognize what they're going through, to say, can you understand both sides? And those first couple years was tough because I had to realize how it is a challenge. I became someone who truly respected the single mom, the single dad, because it was not easy. Everything you have to do is you have to be Uber dad. You have to be the parent that runs to the school. You have to sign the documents. You have to do the homework. You have to do everything by yourself. You got to do the breakfast, do the dinner. But in saying all that, I became someone who was more appreciative of the whole experience of parenting. And as being a parent, you become someone who understands what is my real role here. Because you may before had the privilege of, okay, this is my role here as dad, but now I have to also become a nurturer and I have to also show some compassion. And then you have to become someone who understands how to guide your kids. And I'm lucky because I feel like I've had such a variety of experiences from being an educator to just being a coach to dealing with systems. It's everything became a system in my mind. And so the number one thing for myself was just making sure that not only did my kids feel comfort and love, but also help them to figure out how to get through this whole path called education, how to get to better schools, how to do well, how to manage the good friends versus the bad friends. It was fast. It was an interesting experience. And then at the same time, take care of your own self emotionally while you're going through all of this. So I don't, I hope that please let me know if I'm going off the rails, but
You're
but I'm
doing
just
great.
sharing pieces of my story. So, but
So, what are some of the key things about parenting or being a single parent, either one, that you really learned in that process? Like, what are some things that you feel other people should know?
um okay, so as a dad, I had the privilege of okay, so I would say here's the huge one of the big differences that I saw was for the moms. I don't know if they're given the grace that a father is given because I have to admit that I can have moments where my daughter could go to school with mismatched socks at 3 years old, and the teachers are forgiving of that. While I think that a mother would not be so much forgiven, and so it just made me slowly begin to see the differences between how people perceive you, how people will support you or judge you, and how every decision you make is important for your kids, but it's not life ending. It's not so like everything is going to be so bad. But I also became someone who decided that, kids have to have limited choices for them to succeed. So it's important to make sure your kids only have, don't overwhelm your kids with so many decisions to make. I think that's part of it. So if that
So, talk a little bit more about that. What did that look like for you? How did you employ that notion, and what was the reception for that?
Okay, so there was, you know what? There was a book that talked about taking different industries, different places, and combined ideas. I think it was called Mind Trip, but took the same concept. Let me take my system background and include it with my coaching background and just my pure love for the kids, and I'm going to start coming up with stuff that work. And so, uh, what I kind of learned is that the kids, as far as, let me give you an example. Breakfast, there's no choices. You start, people become overwhelmed when they give kids so many choices. And I know it sounds so minor. It's like, it's breakfast. It doesn't matter. It's like, no, you have a system. You have everything timed. You have how long it's going to take to make eggs, how long it's going to take sausage, how long it's going to do certain breakfasts, how quick they got to get dressed, how fast they got to get on the bus. It becomes all of these things that becomes a system, and then you repeat it, and then you realize that you can apply this same type of thinking and structure across getting the kids ready to do boxing or wrestling or gymnastics or any type of event that you have to go to, or you have to now start plotting out your days where literally, okay, I got to take the kids to the doctor. So now I got to have a different board just to track all the times that I have to take the kids to go to the doctor and make sure they don't miss their appointments. Because in the beginning, I was blowing everything because Because the advantage sometimes, I think, when there's two of you, there's another brain that can say, hey, don't forget to go to the doctor. When there's one of you, you got to now come up with systems that tend to work. So, in my case, that was working out. And then all of a sudden I can see the kids were going from feeling sad about the separation of mom and dad, which we're not here to talk about any type of sad story like that, because I do think that, first of all, I'm going to give her credit that, hey, gave birth to my kids. I appreciate it. But on the same side, I'm always thankful for the experience that I had, because I don't believe that I would be as close to my kids if this didn't happen. It's not something that you want it to happen, but if it didn't happen, I don't think I would be as close to my kids as I am today. So, uh, I went off the rails. You might have to pull me back in, because I'm trying to remember where I was at in my thought
So,
process.
what I just heard you talk about is the being
Okay.
grateful even in difficult circumstances, because it can really be beneficial, and things can, even though it's not what you expected to have happen, what happens can create amazing things and amazing opportunities and things that otherwise would not have happened, experiences that otherwise may not or would not have happened. And then the other thing that I heard in what you were talking about was the value of having structure with your children. And something that I thought, this is not a word that you used, but as you were talking about it, I thought about it, is it can also, having that kind of structure and consistency can help, I think, create discipline and habits, because habits and discipline are very related things. And if you grow up with that kind of structure, habit, discipline, then I think it's a lot easier to employ it later in life.
Yes. Oh, well said. Well said. Well said. Because I think about my father and his father and his father, and just there was always a discipline part that was there. Not necessarily military style, but there was always discipline along with fun and being able to laugh. And so I really did appreciate all that I was experiencing and everything that I was going through. And then it helped me, because then what happened next is that I had other gentlemen who might have catch me and say, hey, I know that I always see you with the kids. I say, yeah. It's like, how did that happen? Because for them, it seemed so shocking to see a dad have custody of the kids. And that was very surprising. And so, and I explained to them, I said, well, it's not so much about the custody of kids, because I really think that you have to be your authentic self all the time. Because whether it's court, or whether it's dealing with parents or dealing with other parents or teachers, you just got to be a good person, or good person, as you are trying to navigate through all of this. So, I've shared different pieces of advice. Some I'll say here, some I won't. but but the main thing I feel like is, remember that everybody in the process is human, and everybody just want what's best for the children. And always make sure that you keep that at the top of mind, is what is best for your kids. That's got to be what's important. because because hey, what if in the bigger scheme of life, mom is what's important for the kids? Then that's something that you have to also consider. But in most cases, if the dad is really somebody says, I'm stepping up for this, there's a whole set of reasons why the dad is stepping up to do this. So sometimes it has to be respected across the board, whether it's the judges or the courts or the attorneys. It's I just don't feel like fathers step up in those situations unless they really either see something, want to do something, want to protect their kids, want to make sure that they want the best for their kids, or in some cases, like I told my daughter the other day, I said, one of my happiest moments is just being able to say good morning to you guys every day. Like that's so important, because I feel like when they become adults, that won't be something that's missing from their life, is dad saying good morning. But but I feel like that's all person that we got into all the personal stuff and everything without going too personal, but um, but overall, I just want to see people do well. I mean, even as a man of faith, I do believe in the whole servant leadership, and just the idea that part of being a coach is that you want to help people do well in their personal life and their business. Sometimes I don't think that people understand that there are all types of coaches out here that really want to, some are chasing after, listen, for some folks, yes, it is a business. I get that. But in some cases, it's really about, I really want to see you do well. I really want to see you be better in life. I want to give you perspective that somebody else didn't give you, and so if I can do that, then that makes my day. So it's like like I have to admit, like right now, this is fantastic because I am talking in the car looking like I'm doing a crime scene somewhere or I'm at a stakeout and I'm just sitting back going, am I at a stakeout or something? But I thought that this was important to do because I needed to go ahead and take the few minutes to have this conversation. And plus, you're awesome as always, Megan. So it's kind of like it's easy to talk once we can get past all the cameras and the lights and everything else. So this is still cool. And and then also I can feel myself wanting to say 1,000 different things because I have so many different areas of focus besides, fatherly coaching or just your careers and your job preparation. And just even if you just need a marketing tip here and there, it's like it's all the different perspectives. Because the truth is that I know it's hard to believe, but it's all the same thing. because because whether you're being a father or being a business person, you're working on trying to improve a situation, make someone's life better, and then hopefully there's a profit or reward at the end. And so no matter what you're talking about, it's all similar. And so when a person takes a moment to say, okay, let me listen, let me pause, let me understand, then I believe that they become better for it. And then quietly I become better too for it too. So
So you talked about, thank you. You talked about some of the challenges of being a single father versus just being a single parent, right? A single parent in general, any single parent, there are an own sets of challenges.
yes,
But
yes,
your
yes.
experience was, it's unique to you as a person, but it was also shaped by the fact that you're the father and not the mother, and sort of how people reacted and responded. How did it feel from your point of view, being like, did you feel like you had people to talk to? Did you feel like you had support? Did you feel like it was different because you were a dad going through this situation? Or did
Oh, that's a great question because um that's a great question, Megan, because did I feel different? Okay, so you have to imagine I was very blessed that I had both my parents. So I was raised by both my parents. And then my father was raised by his father. And then his father was raised by his father. So there really wasn't no disconnect. So all of the father thing was normal. And but what I had to adjust to was, oh, it was just me with them. And but I will say the part to answer your question, I feel very blessed that it seemed like the community, different people all came out at different times and helped me, supported me, answered questions that I need to answer. Um, like I said, I feel like people give grace to fathers in a way that fathers will get support. It's just different. It's different for most dads because it wasn't something they were prepared for in the traditional sense. So they weren't expecting that. It's kind of like mom doing the hair. Now dad has to do the hair,
Mhm.
or dad has to have certain conversations, or dad has to, you know, especially with a girl. See, a boy, I think it's much simpler because we understand how to be a boy, but a girl is something more beautiful and natural. And it's almost like your kindness have to come out of your heart a little bit. You become soft. You become a little mushy because even when my daughter was like 2 or 3 years old, I still remember her cries was so different than my son's cries because when she was upset about something, it was a high pitched sound. And then when she was excited about something, it was 20 times more excitement of expression wise. And so you had to understand that she's so excited about sharing all her day to day, her new stuff, anything that happens to her. And I had to also learn how to become someone who can show empathy on the feminine side to say, "Hey, I'm here for you, but I'm your dad, so feel comfortable to just if you want to give dad a hug, that's fine. If you want to talk to dad about something, that's fine. If you don't want to talk to dad, that's fine."
Yeah.
Because she's at the famous stage now where it's like, yeah, can you go away? Can you go away? Don't let nobody see you walk me to school. And but it's fun because then she wants to, but then I'm the first person she wants to run and tell about something new. So it's but I don't know if that answered your question, but I hope that the shorter part is that I was blessed to have random people, random communities step up and help me through all of it. And even when I didn't know I needed the help. That's
Did
what I
you
love.
always feel, yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Did you always feel like you had someone to talk to, like to turn to if you needed to just
Um,
vent, or if you like, did you feel isolated, or did you feel like you could talk about what you were experiencing?
um, I did because besides my father and mother, because I always appreciate that, especially mom. Mom was someone who could talk. I could talk to about anything about, especially with my daughter, because I was her granddaughter. So that was a lot easier. Um, but also friends, mentors, even coaches, different people who could give their 2 cents or give direction in what you needed some support in. Because some things I do feel, Lil, like some things we're blessed that we do know the answer to. We just don't trust
Hmm.
ourselves. And then sometimes we just need individuals to kind of go, no, you can do that. Yes, you can cook a meal. Yes,
Hmm.
yes, you can go
You
pick a
can
dress.
cook. Good job.
Yes, you can cook.
So we are
Or
about out of time, but I have a final question I want to ask you.
okay.
How are your kids? How'd it go?
Well, so far, okay, so right now, 1810. So the 18-year-old got accepted to a very prestigious, I don't see, I'm going to remove any type of embarrassment for him. So I won't say, but I just say
Fair.
very, 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 very prestigious university.
Hmm. Yep.
And I was very impressed and proud. And he even thanked me also because it was a combination of so many things that we had to do to get to that point, so many efforts. I would even tell a parent, like, if there's like, I would, like, right now, I'm talking to a few people about how to get their kids into college and the things that we have to do. And I think they're always shocked about the stuff that I share and just like they didn't know it was, so it's complicated, but not because also, part of my background is in the world of education and academia and all this stuff, but also I I was just privileged with wow, thank goodness I have a kid who understood his discipline, got very focused on his schoolwork, made sure he took care of that, but also was willing to listen to advice from because sometimes all of us are guilty that we think mom and dad don't know what they're talking about, but I think he understood what we were talking about. And then it was a combination of other support to help him move through and get into the prestigious school.
A
And so
very,
that's
very,
good.
very, very prestigious
Right.
school.
Yeah, and then very prestigious school. And my daughter just continues to be on honors. And now she's 10, and so she continues to be on honors and everything else. Um And I'm very proud of both of them. And and I even get shocked every day. I just get shocked. Like I'm glad that parts of the plan worked. I have to see about part two.
Right? You're like, we're only
But
so far through.
so far through. But you know, here's the cool thing, Megan, because I understood what to do for part one. Part two, I'm also more compassionate to say, let's figure out what you want to do more so than removing locking you into certain things. But I still hold on to the philosophy that kids should not have too many choices.
All right. That's so what I heard, what I learned from what you have shared, the value and importance of discipline, remaining grateful, having gratitude no matter what the situation is, finding the positive and having gratitude, being authentic, being your authentic self in all the situations. I mean, being environmentally appropriate, right? Whatever the environment is. Yep, you want to be
Yes, yes,
appropriate for that, but certainly still being you in that
yes.
environment is really, I think those are some of the big takeaways. There are a couple others that you mentioned that I really liked, which is focusing on what's best for the kids and giving grace. I have to tell this to people a lot. I see them in a situation where they would be very quick to give grace to someone else in the situation that they are in, but they don't give it to themselves. I was
Yes, I
watching a
agree.
video the other day and I heard I don't remember the guy's name that said it, but I really enjoyed this video. And he's like, imagine that when you're born, you are given a human and they are your responsibility for the rest of your life. How are you going to treat them? And halfway through that, most people realize that you have been given a human, that you are responsible for your entire life. It's you.
Well said.
And
Yep.
sometimes we treat ourselves so differently than we would treat someone else in the exact same situation. And I hope and wish, and that's what you said about giving grace, that I think is really important, that I hope people also take away from your story. Thank you so much for sharing it. I would love to have you back on because I know there's even more that we didn't have time to get to today, but really appreciate you sharing the things that have happened to you, some of your story, and how you turned that into wonderful things, important lessons, and implemented it in a way that wasn't just good for you, but was good for your kids, which means it was good for all of us because you're sending more great
Mm.
people out into the world.
Thank you, Megan. And as always, thank you for this space. I appreciate it. This is awesome, and I can only wait to see how where it grows into. Thank you.
I can't wait. Fantastic. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Unleash with Megan. We'll have another episode soon, and we look forward to hearing from you. If you have a story that you would like to share, things that you think other people would benefit from hearing, and I believe everyone has a story, so I think you do, please reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. And as always, I hope you have a magnificent day.